Matty, the Bombers are coming off a confidence-boosting win last week against Melbourne, and tonight they face North Melbourne. What are the keys for Essendon tonight to get another win?
Well, I think last week it was great to get the victory, but still Melbourne had probably 10 more inside 50s and a few more clearances. So I think it starts in the midfield. I probably say that every week, but tonight I think the form of some of their midfielders, guys like Zeeble, Cunnington, really dangerous through that midfield. So I think that obviously Boomer Harvey was sub, and I've relied on Daniel Wells in the past, but I think it's more their inside midfielders that are doing a lot of the damage at the moment. So I think that's where guys like Dyson Heppel, Nick O'Brien, might get another big challenge. Those sort of guys through that midfield area become really important.
Can you lock down on those inside mids? We talk about it a bit. Every side sort of has a couple, but North Melbourne are really strong in that area with Cunnington and Zeeble.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in the past, a guy like Heath Hocking has always sat on a wing on Boomer Harvey. So that's probably, who knows what the role will be for Boomer tonight, but it's probably rarely been a player like Hodge and Lewis, for example, don't get sat on very often. It's more the creative types like Isaac Smith or Sam Mitchell that get sat on. So no, I think it's not sitting on any of those players. It's just about competing with them and getting first hands to the ball, because obviously Goldstein's the main weapon for them. I think that no doubt he'd be winning the best and fairest by a long way. I think he's the All-Australian ruckman at the moment. So I think Sean McKernan will match him around the ground. It's just I think at those sort of around the ground stoppages where he's just got to try and nullify Goldstein's influence.
The North forward line is probably a little bit more unpredictable this week without Petrie. Does that sort of change the look of the Essendon defence?
Well, I think, it's a question where Ben Brown, there's probably a lot falls to him. Jared Waite's another one that sort of drifts in and out of games. So I think it's crucial that their back line and the midfield can put enough pressure on, because I suppose they haven't had the best form, their forward line, in previous weeks. So they've mixed and matched. They've dropped players in, they've dropped them out. We heard Brad Scott speak about Waite not applying enough pressure. So they've had problems of their own. So I think that the back line should match up with them pretty well.
Essendon's young players were really important last week. Obviously Danaher kicking goals, but Edwards as well, and O'Brien you mentioned earlier. Is consistency the hardest thing for players in the early parts of their career to get a hold of?
Well, I think an issue for Melbourne in recent years has been, once they have a big win, that they can't back it up. So I think that's been a real emphasis through the club this week, that, come on, let's just not make it a one-week thing. Effort shouldn't change, no matter the result or the opposition. Got to bring effort. And I think on a faster deck at Etihad Stadium tonight, that you can be really put to the sword, particularly against a side like North Melbourne if the pressure isn't there. So obviously they've got a big advantage with their experience, pretty healthy injury list, so it all comes down to effort, and hopefully the Bombers are in tight late in the game, they can overrun the Kangaroos.
Fingers crossed, Matty, we can celebrate another win early next week. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Simon.